CBS21 Political Insiders with Rob Hanrahan.
Charlie Gerow, our Republican strategist, Mark Singal, our Democratic strategist, here to talk gerrymandering, and this thing just gets more and more confusing, guys. So, Mark, since it's in your court, essentially, the Democrats' court, explain to me what's going on. The Republicans submitted a map last Friday night, right before the deadline, doing what the Supreme Court told them to do. They had to redraw these lines because the court ruled they favored Republicans. Now what's happening?
And that's correct, but the normal procedure for adopting any redistricting map is to do it in a bipartisan fashion, or at least have the General Assembly weigh in on it. So naturally, the governor and the Democrats are going to have a shot at assessing whether or not that solves the problem that the courts identified. Now, I will say that the map is better than the one that they had originally proposed, but the governor maintains, and I think with some justification, that it is still overly partisan and it favors Republicans, and that's the reason why the courts rejected it in the first place.
But Charlie, the Republicans strongly disagree with this, obviously from just the news releases.
Mark says it ought to be done in a bipartisan fashion, and guess what? It was. The original map was passed in a very bipartisan fashion with dozens of Democratic votes, with the agreement and tacit approval of Democratic leaders across the state. One district in particular, the one in which we now stand, was specifically carved out to save it for Tim Holden. Didn't happen to work out that way come a primary. But this is really an unusual set of circumstances, Rob, and the fact that you can't figure it out is putting you in bed with everybody else in the state, because nobody can figure this out.
Every time I think I've got the whole handle on it, something else pops in.
It was brought very, very late. I mean, after years of going through the old map, and right on the eve of the 2018 elections, in my judgment, specifically to wreak havoc with the system.
So let's look forward, because we're getting so close to this primary deadline, Mark.
Right.
I mean, people have to know who they're going to vote for. They have to know what district they live in.
Well, in its ruling, the Supreme Court reserved the right to craft its own map. It said, look, if you guys can't get your act together, we'll do it for you. And in this case, for the first time in 30 years, it's the Democrats who have the upper hand, because unless we agree to something together, the Supreme Court has a slight Democrat majority, and it's likely that you're going to see something that's favoring Democrats.
And of course,
if the court determines the map?
Then you have a true constitutional crisis, and that's when the U.S. Supreme Court will, in my judgment, step in, because the Constitution of the United States, and remember, this case that was decided only under the state Constitution, not the federal Constitution. The United States Constitution is very clear and specific that the legislature draws the district lines, not the judiciary.
Okay, so if our state Supreme Court produces this map and puts it out there, and they challenge it up to the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, we know how fast things move at the judicial level. There's no way to really push this thing around, is there, to get it done in time to hold the primary?
No, I think what will happen in that scenario, Rob, and I'll let Mark weigh in on this, but in that scenario, I think what would happen is the 2018 elections would proceed under the existing map.
Or maybe the primary elections, and then the shift will occur in the general election, but that's
you can't do that,
because it would be almost impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah, because these districts are going to change, and where people live and where the people are running.
Yeah,
they have to abide by the lines.
You can't do one for the general, one
inside the lines in this game. All right, guys, thank you very much. You can hear more from our CBS 21 Political Insiders Sunday mornings at 8:30. Join us for CBS 21's Face the State.